What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Wedding DJ Academy, where I teach you all the tools and skills necessary to become a successful wedding DJ. Alright, so in this video, first thing I'm going to do is introduce my DJ controller. I'm using the Roland 707M. There are a lot of controllers that function the same way. Most of all controllers fundamentally function the same way, but this one has a few more features that I wanted to have to make gigging and moving around a lot easier for me. By having this system, I don't need an external mixer because there's one built in. Everything has some pretty good preamps in here, so I don't have to worry about using an external mixer to amplify the sound by running the RCA cables out of the controller into a mixer, and then running, balance cables out of the mixer into the speakers. I can run directly into my speakers from this. Some pretty cool inputs on the front. I have left and right stereo inputs here that I can hook an auxiliary in, like if I want to hook in my phone or hook in a tape player or a CD player or anything like that. Also, you see I have my headphone jack here, two different ports for a 1/8 or 1/4 inch. Only one works at a time, but you still have the option if you don't have a 1/4 inch adapter like this and you just have the standard one, like classic earbud or something like that would still work. I have this Q and master knob. What this means is when it's set to Q, you only hear what's on the Q, which is what's highlighted. So whether this is turned all the way up or down or not, I'm always going to hear what's in my Q in the headphones. All right, and this is how you are able to mix in and cue in songs and get them ready in your headphones before everyone else hears it. So you'll have this playing, right? Let's say this track is playing, it's turned up, this one's turned down, but in your Q in your headphones you can hear it, and you're beat matching it up to, this track here, for example, right? So, because that would be this track. So, once you get it synced up, you slowly turn it up, and then everybody else can hear it, right? And you'll be turning this one down, or however where you decide to mix it. We'll get into more of that in the future. But yeah, this is a 4-channel mixer. Obviously, you only need 2 channels really to run just about any gig. 4 is extra. It's cool if you're doing like live production, live performance, where you're, doing advanced DJing skills like stemming out tracks and, maybe syncing 4 different tracks together and kind of using this more for like production and live performances. But for just being able to, play music for weddings, you only need 2 decks. Okay? Go from this channel, that's up. When you get in this channel, the right ready. Turn that up, turn that down, or however you want to mix it, right? But basically, you're just going back and forth. You're going back and forth. If you might have a turntable, you should notice that you have this AB here. If this was set to lock channel 1 into A, then when this is panned all the way to the left, it's to be A. If this was locked to B, then when this is pushed over to the right, then it's to be B. And then I would only hear what's coming out of channel 1 or channel A or B or deck 1 or 2 based on using this. Right now I have it set to through, so that no matter where this is, like, I'm ignoring that. We're just focusing on these levels here, right? That's it. So this can be anywhere. If you're doing scratching, you're going to want to use this because it's going to help with the effect of scratching, holding the jaws wheel and scratching between the 2 tracks, right? But when you're DJing for weddings, it's something that you don't fundamentally need to be trying to do right away. Like, that's more turntable, right? It's cool to have, but we're talking about you getting out here, getting skilled, and getting caught up to speed to be able to market yourself and do work. Like, that's not something that's required, okay? So let's go back into the details of the controller. Here we have the EQ band. We have low EQ, mid, high, right? Lows, mid, highs of a specific track. If you want to take all the lows out, you turn all the lows out, all the bass will go down, right? If you want to add bass, basically that. Then we have a shortcut to doing that, which is the filter knob. A high pass filter would basically, once you turn this up, you're going to hear all of the highs pass through and all the lows get filtered out. If you turn this down, you're going to hear all the lows pass through and the highs get filtered out. This is a good shortcut and quick way to help with your mixing. So like if you're mixing out of one track, going to the next, you could take all the lows out, start to bring this track in. This one already have. Try to bring this one in and bring that out. It's a good way to transition, especially if you're beat matching. But that's what that does. Here is the pitch wheel. Really, it'll change the tempo of the song. So let's say if the song is at 100 BPM, You slide it down, you'll slowly increase it up to, as you can see the numbers increasing. Since this song was at 82, let's just say you can see it going up, right? And then me bring it down, brings it down. This is another way you can sync tracks. These are already synced. You can tell it's synced because the sync button's lit green. To turn this off, everything you see off, you have to shift. Anything you see in gray, you have to shift to get to. So shift sync turned that off, right? So all these gray controls, you have to hold shift and that button above it to access those controls, okay? So now that they're not synced, you can see what this looks like when I move this one. The other side isn't moving. When they were synced, you know, I hit sync. Now they're both the same tempo, and you see both of them move as I move this knob on one wheel, on one side. I move this on one side, move this on the other side. You know, same thing. They're synced, but once they're unsynced, they are no longer paired to work together, right? So that's how you would beat match, hitting that sync button. Of course, you don't want to get out of hand and beat match a song that's 100 BPM to 82. It may sound weird, so you may want to find a common ground in the middle to where the songs don't sound too warped and, you know, unnatural. Now, there's more effects, there's more details, so I'll focus on just one side of the controller, because what you see on the one side is on the other side as well, okay? With the exception of a few things. Like up here, I have microphone controls here, you know, with high, mid, low band. I'm not gonna push this all the way back, but you know, I have two microphone inputs, they're both on, and the inputs for that in the back. Again, the preamplification is great in this, so I don't have to worry about running this into another system to amplify the mics. It's like a good all-in-one system, right? Now let's look at these buttons starting from the top. Here, if you look at this button here will help you navigate through the menus. So let me hit back, because right now the menu is highlighted. The actual folder or crate that I have open right now is highlighted. So if I hit back, you see that now I'm back here, and as I'm turning this knob, you can see I'm going through this, right? Now, once I get to a folder, and you can't see which one I have open now because this video is on top of it, but I press this button in, and now I'm able to go through the list of everything in this folder. But you can't see it because of this camera view is in the way, but this is basically a way that you can navigate through your controller without using your mouse. Otherwise, you know, you can use your mouse or your trackpad and, you know, just go into the folder itself, drag the song to whichever deck you want to have it played on, just drag it there, and then the track will appear, right? So for example, it looks something like this. I just, you know, drag a track here, drag a track here, or I could actually hit the load button, right, by pressing this in, and it'll load that track. Let me make sure I can still see it. If I press this button in, right, it loads the track. The same on this side, I have one on this side. When I load another track, I press that button and it'll load the track, okay? So that's how you load your tracks using your controller. Like I said, all controllers kind of have the same functions on it, so you should be able to do it, especially if you're using Serato. They're all going to universally work the same way. So let's go back. We have the jog wheel here, right? You can scratch, or you can just use it to fast track to a point of the song. Like if the song is playing and you touch it, you gotta remember, if this were not a digital wheel, it would be a disc actually spinning, and once you put your hand on it, it stops. So remember, this is just emulating what a real disc would be doing. You put your hand here, it stops. You scratch it back, it's the needle that's on the disc is going to scratch the disc, and you're going to hear that scratching sound until you get all the way back to where you want to be, right? Now you can do this with the music turned down, and nobody's going to hear you doing any of that. As long as you have your cue set, you can hear it through the headphones, like I have now, right? You can hear this through these headphones, but nobody else can hear it because it's turned all the way down. Now when I want everybody else to hear it, you know, I turn it up. Now it's coming out of my speaker over here, right? So again, that's how that works. Back to this. These are a bunch of buttons and pads that can do different things. And right now, I use them to set cue points when the hotkey is selected. If I go to one of these loop functions, I can set auto loops, manual loops, where I want to control where I'm coming in and out in the track, I can use the slicer here. Right now I have my slicer used to stem out tracks, or I can have my sampler open where I would load effects into each button, like air horns or anything like that. And those effects you would load from up here in Serato. You click this effects button, right, and you would basically load your effects into each one of these here. Okay. Sorry, I meant to say your sampler. You click the sampler button and you would drag your samples here. Like if your air horn was there, whatever, right? And then you would have them mapped to whichever pads. Your effects, on the other hand, it's like your reverb, delay, stuff like that. Now the effects on this controller are going to be controlled here for this track. Like track 1, 2, and 3 are all programmed to a specific effect that you can map in that menu I just showed you. So in this case, I know my effect number 2 is going to be delay. Number 1 is reverb, and number 3 is a high pass, low pass filter, which I don't really need to use since I already have one here, right? But those what those 3 effects are. You can always change them out for something else, like a flanger or a phaser. You can switch out what those are, and it's basically the same on both sides. All right, that's why we're just going through one side. So you already seen me use this button. I also have A and B here for PC. I can hook 2 computers in. Right now I'm using one computer is A. Once I plug in another USB into port B on the back, I can hook that into another computer, switch to B, and then operate another computer and control Serato on that computer with the same controller by switching it over to B, right? And it'll just be for this deck, and then I can have this deck be working on PC A, and still be using this deck 2 on PC A, right? Or I can have both on PC B. But that's the flexibility you get with this type of controller. Next, we talked about what a lot of these buttons do, right? The cue points, how to set cue points, the sync button, how to turn off everything that's synced by holding shift, how shift will get you into this menu. And these are the basic things you need to understand about your controller to be able to mix, okay, and to be able to use it. And then, like I said before, obviously you have your volume here, your EQ band, but you're just going from this controller, this deck to this one, back and forth. Right now, this deck is deck number 1. So you see this button here, it's deck 1. If I press that in, you see how it changes to deck 3, which would be this channel here is 3 for me. And I don't have anything loaded in 3, but I could load something in 3, or I could have 3B, say I'm running in sound through here. And that's routed through as a through on track 3. Then I can control that sound from here, or it could be something else that I hooked in from the back, like a tape player or another turntable, right? Another XDJ or CDJ or something like that. So I usually keep it on 1 and 2. Same here. If I switch this to 4, that's gonna basically open up this one, and now that becomes usable, right? So that's basically a quick overview of this. We have this booth knob here. Let's say you want to send sound to your booth so you can monitor what's going on. Then this is what you would hear. It sort of like operates the same as your headphones in the sense where you would be monitoring with your booth. Then let's say you have like a cocktail speaker or a satellite speaker somewhere. You would basically set that up to your zone output, which is on the back of this controller, and then you can independently control that speaker without having to deal with globally controlling every speaker from left and right here. You can just turn up that speaker in a satellite location from right here and independently, right? And that's how that works. So I believe I covered just about everything. And then your sampler, we talked about the samples. Once you load, you have samplers selected, and you load your samples into all these pads. You can turn up how loud you want those samples to be played and heard over your music. Once you have it set for the night, you pretty much set it there based on how loud those sounds are that you're using, so they don't overpower your music or they're not loud enough. And I believe that's it. I believe that covers it. So if you have any questions and you're in the Wedding DJ Academy, reach out. We can go into a little bit more detail if that's something you need. But again, fundamentally, this is all you will need to understand about the controller to start using it, getting busy, and practice. So I hope this helps. Until next time when you see ya, and if you're on YouTube, make sure to subscribe, and we'll keep putting up videos like this for you. Otherwise, if this is something that's going to be reserved strictly for the students, We'll see you in the next video.